Back with us today is Oscar-nominated film director and screenwriter Vincent René-Lortie, and he is known for his work of bringing purposeful and deeply personal storytelling. His live-action short film Invincible was just nominated for an Oscar at the 96th Academy Awards. Now, his award-winning film won the special jury prize at the Clermont-Ferrand Film Festival and has since garnered several international accolades. Now, Invincible is inspired by a true story and recounts the last 48 hours in the life of a 14-year-old boy on a desperate quest for freedom. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Oscar-nominated writer-director Vincent René-Lortie and his live-action short film, Invincible, back to the show. Welcome, Vincent.
Hey, welcome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for this amazing introduction again. Yeah.
Well, you're very welcome. And I've got to ask, how does it feel to be currently known and will always be known at the moment as an Oscar-nominated filmmaker?
It does feel really surreal. Like, to be honest, I don't think none of us were really expecting this, because it always feels so far away, like this dream. And since the announcement, we've been kind of on a cloud. It's been a beautiful moment, a beautiful journey, and we're really, really happy and proud to be here as well. Yeah.
Well, kind of walk us through the day when the nominations were announced. What was that like?
Oh my God. It was, we didn't really sleep that night, to be honest, the night before. I think everybody were excited, also a little bit stressed, and so we met very early at the office of our distributor, with whom we did the whole Oscar campaign, but also before that, like the whole distribution and festival. So we are really, really close with them, with the production team, and there was also a few other member of our team. So I think we were at probably like 15 people that morning. And like just waiting for to know if it would happen or not. I think the fact that it happened so fast, right? It's like it happens like in a few seconds. And as soon as they said Invent, and then we saw the name on the television, and we just started to yell and cried and jump in each other's arm. And there is a very beautiful video of that moment too that we shared online, because I think that it's important to keep that moment and to have that moment for the rest of your life, because it is an important moment. And it's also, I think that video was probably like 15 or 20 minutes longer than the one we actually shared. Like, it was such a long celebration.
Well, I saw that video, and I
Yeah.
love the fact that everybody was able to get together to watch it. And you were right. I was really surprised that when they announced for best live action shorts, on how fast they rattled off the titles of the films. And I was like, whoa, it's here, it's gone. But then here is this celebration going, for all of the five films. And I was surprised on how fast they did that.
Yes, it's very fast, and our film was second. So it was like right away, and we knew that, like, there was also a few films after us that had a really high chance, like, of course, the Wes Anderson film, but also Red, White, and Blue. So it's like, we knew that if we would be there, we would be at the beginning, right? So yeah, I mean, honestly, you never know this moment. Of course, like, I think one of the things is that we weren't in any prediction before. So, and I know it's hard to, like, really look at these things and think, oh, do I really have a chance? Like, is it really possible? And so we were surprised and so happy at that moment, to be honest. But yeah, it was it was
Yeah,
very emotional.
I think this year with the short list, that every film on the short list had a chance
Hmm.
because there, and it's hard to say, when you talk to other people in film, it's hard to determine were there any surprises for the nominations. but
Yeah.
all 15 were very strong films. Anybody could have been nominated. I don't like reading the entertainment magazines when they're doing predictions, because a
Yes.
lot of times they get those predictions wrong, and I'm like, that's really not fair to the filmmakers
Yeah,
to build that hope up.
yeah, it really gets into your head, I think. And I think like probably for short film it's a little bit harder to say, like I think for international or for feature films in general, I think maybe they have a better chance because everybody have seen these films. But short film, it's not everybody that have seen them. So I think, yeah, I agree with you, but it's hard. Like I wish I didn't had that reaction of looking at them, but it's hard after a long day to work on the film to, like, to not just Google Oscar prediction, which I did a little bit. And at the end of the day, like, I think it's definitely a good learning because, yeah, since we weren't, I think it's good to know that even if you are not in the prediction, maybe you have a chance to be there.
Well, are you a celebrity now in your community?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I will ever be a celebrity. I don't wish to be a celebrity either. But it's like, of course, like I think that day it was definitely like a moment where we did, like, we did receive a lot of love from the community, and that was very amazing. A lot of beautiful press also coming from people in Montreal, and I think people, we in Montreal, we're such a small community of filmmakers. Like, we're the only French speaking people in North America, and so like the film that we do are we don't have a lot of them, and people are following them. And so when we have a film that's like going to a prestigious festival or to the Oscars, for instance, I think people are proud, and that made me really emotional. I was really kind of happy to see that love that came from both my friend, my family, but also, yeah, the media.
Now, for a lot of my viewers and listeners that may have seen our first interview or may have not seen it, walk us through and tell us about your film Invincible.
hmm Invincible is a short film, of course, that goes back on the 48 hours before the death of my childhood friend, Marc-Antoine Bernier. He was 14 years old at the time when he passed away. And when this happened, this moment was, the way this whole thing happened was really, really tragic. He was driving a car, the car ended in a river. There was police involved, and when you're a kid and that young, like, you don't really understand what really happened. And for me, these questions really stayed with me for a long time, until 6 or 7 years ago I decided to kind of do a lot of research, and I met the family again and the friends, and a lot of people also working in a juvenile center and working in mental health institution or mental health doctors, sorry. And they did like, and from all of this research came that's like, emerged that story that is Invincible, which is a film about the 48 hours before he passed away, trying to understand what happened, trying to understand who was that person, who was that friend. And it was a way for me to understand that friend better, to get to know that friend better, because I think that from all of that research I understood that I didn't really know him that well, and there was a lot of things I didn't really know. And so it was both a way for me to yeah, to get to know that friend again, but also to tell a story that I think was important to the world.
When it comes to mental health, um, it's a very silent type of issue
hmm
where on the outside a person may appear fine and okay, even though they may be going through something, but we can never tell what pushes someone to the very edge.
hmm
And you highlight mental health in this film in a very extraordinary way. What do you hope that when the general public finally gets to see your film, what do you hope that they will receive from the film?
mm. I mean, to just to go back to what you just mentioned, and I think I while I was doing the film, and while I was writing it and editing it as well, I never thought like I was doing necessarily a film about mental health. And I think it came a lot after with the screenings that I did after as well. And I think that, like, for me, it wasn't, I didn't want to force anything to the viewers. I didn't want to say, okay, this is a film about that subject. I think it's a film about someone that goes through something that is really hard to him internally, and is fighting demons, is fighting something inside of him that is, at the end of the day, potentially mental health. And so I think that what I hope people get to, when they see the film, is that either they can either, so potentially see themselves in him at a certain moment in their life. Maybe they were him, maybe they knew someone like him, or maybe they know someone today like him. And so I hope that maybe it will um, help to engage discussion about the subject, engage discussion about people also around them. I hope that, and I hope that they can also connect with someone like him, and they can understand maybe that kid like Marc, like my friend Marc Antoine, are not bad kid. They are not, they are not delinquent. They have a lot of empathy and a lot of sensitivity. Well, anyway, but you
No,
understand
you
that word.
got
But
it.
I think it's important for me to understand that Mac was someone with a little big heart. And so if they know people like him, and if they I think maybe they will see that after, like, hopefully, or they will engage discussion in that, and towards that, um yeah, towards that kind of subject. So I think it is my hope. Yeah.
In our first interview, one of the shocking things to learn about Mark. So he's in this detention center. He wants to get out. But the sad part of the story is that he only had what, a week to go before he was actually going to get out, but he decided to escape.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. I think it hasn't never been clear in the film, and I've never wanted it to be that. I never want really the film to be about, like, the fight that he was about to get out of the juvenile center. But, like, yeah, the true story is very kind of like, when you think about it, the fact that he only had, I think, 48 hours before he could finally get out and go back to his family. It was a way also for me to understand that maybe Mac, even, out of that, the juvenile center, would feel imprisoned, would feel like he's not at his place, like he would feel at the same place. Basically, he would always feel like he's in a prison. And so I think that, like, it was a way for me, like, it was important for me to know that. I don't think it was important for the viewer, because it would have been maybe too much information, and question afterward. But, like, I think that, yeah, understanding that is very kind of brutal, is hard to understand and to know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful film. I mean, from the storytelling, the acting, the cinematography. You used the elements of fire and water. Can you
Yeah.
explain why you used that approach in telling Mark's story?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to start with, I think, like, knowing my friend and knowing stories about him, like, Marc Antoine was someone that really liked to play with fire, sometimes in dangerous ways, that I'm not gonna tell on air. But, like, I think that it was, I knew that Marc was someone also that really liked to play with the extreme. Like, he was always someone that do extreme things in his behavior. Like, before, the film started, there's many moments in his life where I knew that Mark took very big risk with his life. So I think that, and when you think about fire and water, you think about, both extreme, like, and what wins at the end of the day is water over fire. So that's why, and knowing also that he died in the water, that he that's how his life ended, was, like, for me, a way to express that even if he really loved fire and he felt stronger, he felt like he could actually beat fire sometimes. I think that at the end of the day, he you know, he got beaten. I guess he lost. I would say he lost against water, which is just why I use these two kind of extreme in my film. Yeah.
And it worked. And not only did it work so well, even down to the cinematography of showing the very it was almost, for me, when I first saw the film, it was a very invisible nuance to the film, because at
Yeah.
first I didn't actually notice. Well, now what I did notice was I noticed the use of lighting. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, okay, because you're feeling what Mark's going through. You're feeling the heat. You're feeling the closed in of the detention, of the juvenile detention center, and
Mm.
wanting to get out of that. But then
Mm-hmm.
you see the elements of water. So I like the way that you did this film, because those nuances were very silent, but they were right there in front of the viewer. But not everybody may notice them, because I didn't notice it at first until you brought it to my attention when we talked the first time. And it's funny because I could have probably just looked at the movie poster and figured it out, but the thing is I didn't. So I love the fact that if someone sees this film, there are
Yeah.
so many elements that you did so well, and I can see why you're Oscar nominated.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It's a very beautiful compliment, and I think that, like, you know, these mention like fire and water, and you know, we also they're also associated with colors, right? With color palette and with the way we work with light, for instance. And I think that, like, in the film, there's a lot of warm moment, right? And I think we talked about that in our first interview. But there's a lot of warm moment, for an example, when he drives at the end, and the sun is very very warm and you know, strong, and it falling on his face. But on the opposite, when he's inside the juvenile center, it's much colder, even if it's even if it's really warm inside, or outside. It's very cold, it's very kind of bluish. And so they represent as well these elements of fire and water. Again, I thank you for saying that it's subtle, because I've never wanted this to be in your face. uh, and I'm sure that if people, I hope that if people continue watching the film, they will find these little elements, because there is also other little things that we thought about, you know, while writing the film. But yeah, just want to say thank you.
You're very well. The thing that I love about so many of the directors this year, and this includes you, is bringing a film forward with all of these little nuances being brought together. And I've looked at film this season much differently, because it's not just watching a film and watching a story happen. It goes much deeper. It's almost like the Kubrick effect, where a director is putting things into the film that the audience may not know firsthand, but it's part of the story. Like you said, it's the colorization. It's these quiet little nuances that are in the film that's actually telling the story in a very quiet, profound way. And like you said, not in your face. Even the issue of mental health is not in your face in this film. It's tucked away in the background, but you
Yeah.
know that there is something going on with Mark. But the
Yeah.
film, and I told you this the first time, I love films that begin with just that one moment towards the ending when it starts the film, and then when we go through the walk with the character, and then we come back to that very moment again that we saw at the beginning, then we truly know something has led up to this point, and now we're going to wonder what is going to happen next. And you did a brilliant job. And I have to ask you, what was Leo Kim's reaction to being in an Oscar nominated film?
Oh my god, he wasn't with us at the moment, because he lives like 2 hours away from Montreal, where we are. But so we were actually his alarm in the morning. We woke him up, he was still sleeping. and we woking up, and he was like, "What? Oh my god!" He was freaking out. He was so happy, and for sure is also coming with us on the red carpet, and I'm so proud of him. I think that, like, I like to say that there's probably two important things about the film, and it's first the subject, and the fact that it's about the story of my friend, the true story, I would say. But like, it's also the second thing is really him. It's really the fact that I think he carries the film on his shoulder for 30 minutes, and he's really, really good and powerful at it. And a lot of people came to me after viewings and telling me, my god, who's your actor? And so I'm so happy that, like, I got to meet him and I got to work with him on that project. Yeah.
Well, you really ignited his career, and I was impressed when the first time you and I talked that all of the young people in this film have never acted before, and I just love that.
Yeah, they are all I think for them it was a big playground, and they love to be on that set so much, and I really enjoy working with them. On, I know sometimes it was like also, they had a lot of energy, and it was really hard to, I would say, gather that energy into the film. But like, even like, let's say like that basketball scene when they were all playing together, they were really playing. Like, they were not like we were just putting the camera. So like stuff like that was like made it really, I think, realistic. And I think, yeah, for me it was always important to work with non-actors, like for the parts of the teenagers, because I think the way they express emotion, and it's always so honest and true, and it comes from a place that, is never really forced to you. And I think that's what I like about it. But on the opposite side, all the um uh, adult in the film, all the grown up, they're all amazing actor that had a lot of experience, and I was proud to kind of connect all of these people together. Not I think it makes sense on set. They all kind of help each others to create something that, together, and that made me very, I think it's the beauty of cinema. Yeah, I would say.
It is the beauty of cinema, and I have to ask you, not counting the Oscar nomination, but from the very beginning of creating this story, and then finishing this film, and then getting it out there into all of the film festivals. For you, besides the nomination, what would be your most memorable moment?
The most memorable moment will be when I went to my childhood friend parents' house. So I went there after I finished the film, and I present them the film, just to them, in their house. I actually just started the film, and I left, and I went in their garden, and I waited outside, with my producer was there as well. And I think that was one of the most beautiful moments, because that emerged afterward, like a beautiful conversation with them. And I think, you make a film of a very big importance for them. Like, and probably one of the most, you know heartbreaking story that they will ever have to live in their life. And so it was always very important for me to that this film would be good to them. Like, it would make sense to them, and that they wouldn't feel hurt by that too. And I think the reaction, was a reaction that I was really hoping, in meaning that they saw some, maybe I wouldn't say closure. I don't want to put words on their mouth, but I think that they, for a moment, they could reconnect with their son. And and so I think that was probably the most important moment in the film. And I would even, now that with the Oscars, like, I would never take that moment back. It was a very, very beautiful, important moment. Yeah.
That is a beautiful story. That is a beautiful moment. And for you, do you have your tuxedo yet?
No, no. Honestly, I've been thinking about that this morning. I have to think about that because I'm leaving in a week for the luncheon, and I don't know what to wear, and I have to start thinking about that. But there's a lot of other things to plan too while you're here. Well. I'm gonna be in LA, so it's a kind of a, you never really expect to go to the Oscars. So now I have to start planning really.
Well, I saw everyone, those that were nominated for the 2023 Oscars, and the luncheon is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
The biggest stars and the directors will be there, and you'll get to meet them all.
Yes, yes. Hopefully, I know there's a few people that I really want to talk to, and like of course it's some of the people that made my favorite film of the year. So I'm really really looking forward to that moment for sure.
Well, is Invincible available for the public to see yet?
It is not actually in the US, unfortunately, but I we are working very hard on that to make it available for everyone. It is available in Canada and everywhere in Europe, actually, but not unfortunately. Yeah, but we'll stay in touch regarding that because I definitely want the film to be available for everyone in the US too.
Yeah, let us know because once it's available to everyone in the US, I want to make sure that everybody sees this incredible film. And Vincent, I want to thank you for coming back. You are now an Oscar nominated film director, and we'll find out on March 10th if they're going to be announcing it as you as being the Oscar winner. So much luck to you and your team at the 96 Academy Awards, and we will be cheering you on.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time too. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Vincent. And ladies and gentlemen, when the film debuts here in the United States, we are going to let you know so you can watch this incredible Oscar nominated film, short film, Invincible. It is worth your time, and it is a beautiful film from beginning to end. And when it comes to film itself, it's the story, it's the acting, it's the cinematography, and Invincible has every bit of that put together in the best way possible. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can catch all of the replays of our interviews with the top film directors like Oscar nominated Vincent René-Lortie, as well as producers, screenwriters, actors, and more on our website at bondoncinema.com. We are also available on YouTube and a dozen audio platforms as well. I want to thank you for watching and listening. And as for me, I'll see you from the red carpet.